just throw this bad boy on, man, and slide in here. We'll chat with you for a few minutes. We had the all-time clip there, the old Teddy Peckman clip with Don Cherry. That was always one of my favorite moments. Theo, how you doing, buddy?
Great, buddy.
Good to see you. Slide that down. Put that down. There we go. Yeah, we're live. We're always live here now. So how are things?
They're really good, really good.
What are you up to?
So I have I own a couple businesses back home in Old Sound where I've retired.
Businessman now.
Yeah, right. Who would have thought? One of them happens to be an ice cream hut called Teddy Two Scoops.
Come on,
So
are you
just
kidding me?
Playing on
all-time
Cherry.
twist.
Yeah. So when we about 5 years ago, I started my I guess my entrepreneur career. I opened a small ice cream hut on the side of the highway, and I tell people all the time. I made just over $10,000 in the entire year.
Yeah,
and I was the happiest I've ever been, just on the side of the highway slinging ice cream.
No way.
So and then the next year I got the opportunity to name it.
Yeah,
and we were thinking about it one day, and a friend was like, "What about Teddy Two Scoops?" And I was like,
"It's a great handle, man."
That's it. So I'm living the good life, man. I get to travel around with Hockey Helps the Homeless. I do a lot of their events local to the GTA, and we get to raise some money for a great cause, and it's been really nice the last 4 or 5 years.
Teddy Two Scoops is just a legendary story.
Yeah.
So did you always why an ice cream shop?
You stick to what you know.
Yeah.
It's a nice hut too. I like
right?
that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So
we'll get this out. We'll tweet this out or something.
Well, so that one we just recently decided to close, but we actually own the store that it's in front of now too. So,
so moving up.
So my wife, I'm a silent partner. But
you're doing hot dogs too?
Well, these are we moved to 3 locations last year, and 2 of them started doing hot dogs.
So you're like the next Tim Horton here?
No, I'm definitely not.
That would be amazing, though.
I don't know. You start trying things. I just got into the golf simulator business.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So we have one of those, and I have a hockey school back home.
Okay.
We're just busy. Try to just keep moving until you find something that works. And
do you have kids?
I got 3 kids.
Oh boy, how old are they?
7, 6, and 2.
I'm 9 and 7.
Yeah, so they're.
It's busy.
It's incredibly busy, but and this is just going back to my playing days. It's incredibly fulfilling, and I when I was playing here, I there seemed to be like an emptiness in my life, and since I've become a father, it's really been filled, and I love it.
That's what happens, man. Like you just change as a man or a woman. Like once you become a parent, man, it just you serve it. Like there's another purpose in your life.
Oh, for sure.
Right,
and it's coming from my background, from a single parent home, the chance to be what I didn't have, it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And, 2 boys and a girl, or 3 girls?
Two boy, girl, boy.
Okay.
The boy is, very methodical. He plays the long game.
Yeah.
My daughter is an absolute wild card.
So is mine.
You don't know if you're gonna. You got to kind of announce yourself when you enter the room with her. And you don't know if you're going to get a hug or a right hook.
I know.
So
I don't know what it is about daughters, man. But my daughter's just like, she's nuts. I love her, but she's nuts.
Yeah,
it's wild.
You'd rather have to turn that off than turn that on.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
For our little girls in this world, it's you'd rather them have that edge than not, right?
You said you do a lot of the Hockey Helps the Homeless stuff.
Yep.
What's the question that most people ask you? Like
who's the toughest guy you fought?
Okay.
And I always tell them.
It's not McIntyre behind us here, eh?
I tried my rookie year, and I was 3 minutes ago, I actually just shook his hand and said thank you.
Did you see that hand?
Well, no. Right? Well. So when I was 19, I tried to fight him, and he was 30 years old. He was a grown up, and he kind of just said, "You know what, kid? Like, get out of here."
Yeah.
and I've never gotten to shake his hand and say thank you.
Yeah.
It's like it was a different level. He would have. God knows, I might not even be here. Like he might end my career. Like he was a grown up, and he, they always say like fighters, you give a kid a chance. He gave me a chance to not fight.
Yeah.
And like I said 3 minutes ago, I just shook his hand and said thank you.
He saved your life.
You know what? like, and so this was like the last year of like the Wild West in the American League.
Okay.
So, each team loaded up with 3 or 4 heavy, tough guys. And it was like, it was, I just got sent down to Springfield,
the
Dirty Birds. And we're playing these exhibition games. And like, I don't know who these guys are, but like, one team's got Big Mac, the next team's got, Frankie Lassard and Mitch Fritz skating around, and then the next team's got Yablonski out there in Mormon. Like, it was truly the Wild West.
Did you ever fight Yablonski?
God, no.
Okay, thank God.
So people always ask me, who's the toughest guy you fought, and I always tell them the toughest guys I ran away from. Because like, the worst thing that could happen is you beat one of them up.
Because then everybody wants you.
There's a lineup next Tuesday.
Heavy is the head,
Like, and I always think about the times, God bless him, Derek Bugard.
Yeah.
What and just you think guys are big, and then you see a guy like that, or you see a guy like Big Mac on the ice, and you realize what big is.
Yeah.
And I wasn't small. I was 230 pounds, 6'2". And I was their little brother. Like, they were so big and so intimidating. I watched Mac and Bugard go Saturday night, Madison Square Gardens. Typical American rink. It's a little dark, and I watched those two fight for a minute, and it was just like you can hear the fists against the, and it's like, it's another level.
That's the heavyweights,
and that's
heavyweights.
And you tell them, like, it's the NHL to the East Coast League with those guys. Like, they're so tough and they love it. And that's, that's something I never, like, I didn't love it. I didn't like fighting.
You didn't like it, eh? Did you do it because you were like a bigger guy? Like,
I had a lot of success with it in junior because I had a beard when I was in grade 9, right? So in junior, you're fighting guys who are, I was walking around at 225 in junior when I was 17, and I'm fighting guys who are 180 pounds and like,
it's a lot different.
Barely out of diapers, and then you get to pro, and then you realize, okay, like, these guys are tough, and this isn't, you got to be careful here. And I still did my fair share of fighting, but you for somebody who just didn't love it, it was very hard to do. And for, you see boxers, you see, even a lot of the UFC guys talk about the anxiety before fights.
There has to be,
and
right?
they're almost like breaking down in tears.
Yeah.
And like, so, you got a UFC fighter or a boxer, every 3 months, 6 months, they're doing it once. Where you take hockey players, we could go out and throw down on a Tuesday, and then
on the AHL on a 2.5 day swing. I mean,
and that's just it. When I was in junior, my first year, I fought 30 times. And
God.
like, I never touched those numbers in pro, but I was going 10, 15 times a year, and that's that's every third game, every four, and that's once a week. So you're the amount of anxiety that builds up into you. And I talk to people about it all the time. It's not natural. It's so hard to do. So I have so much respect for these guys and what they were able to accomplish in their career. And you got guys that did it for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I think about trying to do it for 2 or 3, and it was, some long years. And so, tip of the cap to those guys. They like I said, I got to watch some amazing fights in my career. I got the best seat in the house. Usually I was either on the bench or I was in the penalty box.
Yeah,
too.
already waiting.
Right?
Come on over.
So I was next. I'd get the tap after, hey, your turn.
What was it? You mentioned you mentioned your time here. What's going on? You can come shake his hand if you want. Give him a fist bump. Yeah. The Delorier's here.
JD, what's up, buddy? How's it going, man? Good to see you. I'm good. I'll come grab you. Okay, yeah.
We won't keep too much.
Hey, where are your goalie sticks?
Yeah. Actually, he plays defense in a lot of these charity events.
Oh, the smart ones always do. You can't trust forwards.
No?
No, God, no. Especially left wingers. You can't trust them at all.
How about going second overall last night?
It's a big day, it's a big day.
I know. We had first pick. We took Laddie first.
Yeah.
And then I thought Struddy was going second for sure. And then they announced Theo Peckman. I was like, holy smokes, look at this.
never count me out.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No
just picked
doubt.
up my signing bonus. Actually, I got a nice sweater. So that's the
A
perks.
nice pullover.
The perks are going
They were
second
taken care of.
overall.
You mentioned your time in Edmonton. I thought it was interesting. You said you kind of felt empty. You're looking for stuff. Is that a young guy trying to find a spot in the NHL? Is it the way, like, with the team, or what was it like?
No,
for you?
I had a unique situation. So I came from, and I don't often, like, I don't do podcasts. I don't talk about it a lot, but like, I came from a pretty we'll call it problematic childhood,
Okay.
and I had a lot of trauma when I was a kid, and single parent, didn't really have a whole lot of, I guess, support. And when you're 16 and all of a sudden you're in the OHL, and then all of a sudden you're on the draft list, and then all of a sudden you're signing a contract, and it happens really fast. And for me, I was still a kid, and I think I was 24 when I signed my one-way here.
Yep.
And I wasn't ready. I wasn't mentally ready for it. I wasn't ready for the responsibility that comes with being an NHL player. And I didn't. There was things in me that weren't. There's a can open from my childhood that wasn't closed. And when you're dealing with all that type of stuff on top of the responsibilities of being an NHL player, sometimes it two car collision, and it kind of blows up. And for me, that's kind of what happened when I was 25, 26, is all this stuff, all the pressures that come with not only being a professional hockey player, but growing up and dealing with all this, the can that's opened in you from your childhood, and all of it kind of happens really fast. And then all of a sudden you're 30 and you're retired, and you don't know what happened. Right. And
like,
so
from 16 to 30, that's a whirlwind for you when you're moving away to play.
And you come from a family that's, on welfare.
Yeah.
And has nothing. And all of a sudden you get a check for 30 grand.
Yeah.
Or you get a check for 40 grand.
Man, that must have been wild the first time that happened.
And I still remember it, my first check, like going to the mall and buying a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I bought, was a pair of running shoes.
Yeah.
And like, I'd never been able to do that. Like, I obviously had jobs and stuff but like, just the freedom to go do whatever you want. But with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility. And unfortunately, like, I wasn't mature enough to handle that. And you could see it in my play. And I wish I could go back. I wish I had a better support system. I want to say
on the way up,
and just to be able to handle it a little bit more. You see it a lot more these days with the structure of hockey and what it takes to become an NHL player.
It's like every kid now, they got a team behind them, right? They got the trainers.
And with the amount of money that it takes to produce an NHL player nowadays, typically you come for money, and it's not anything that's, different. You've received a lot of attention, and the guys like me, and I shout them out all the time, Chris Stewart, those stories, they don't really happen anymore. And that's what, get involved with charities like Hockey Helps. You'd never really know kind of who you're touching. And I like to tell this story to the guys in the room, is that, we were a family that was almost homeless when I was a kid. And because of programs and charities, we were able to not
have a place,
to have food, different food programs, food banks. Like, this is stuff that we used as a family. And I always tell people, is like, you come to the event and you raise the money, but then you don't see where it goes. But like,
you were there.
This is where it goes. This is, now I'm here. I've got a family. I was able to, break that cycle of poverty. And, that's all because of programs and events like Hockey Helps and different charities and stuff like that. Hockey Helps is terrific because, every town that we go to, we have a different beneficiary.
Yeah,
so
and we stay there. We've got 3 with this term we were talking about last night at the event.
And that's the really nice part, is the money raised here stays here.
Yeah.
And so it was a crazy life, and I'm
well, you're still just getting going, man.
You know what though? Yeah. I count my blessings every day that I got through it.
Yeah.
And I didn't escape it, but a lot of guys, and I was talking to a lot of the alumni last night. A lot of guys aren't that lucky, or dealing with life after hockey now, and it's a struggle. It's you go from being larger than life to being almost smaller than life. Like you all of a sudden you're not, and it's, you walk out and you play in front of 22,000 people, and then maybe a year later you start going to the office.
Yeah.
And like, how do you,
that's
you
gotta
deal
be
with
so
that?
different,
It's
eh? Like-
very different. And for me, I learned really quick that I'm a bad employee.
Yeah.
I just,
So that's
I'm
it. I'm
unemployable.
an entrepreneur.
And
Like,
that's, so I got to be my own
Yeah,
boss
yeah,
here because
yeah.
I
Ice cream shack though better than an office.
Dude,
I'll say
man,
that. I mean,
hey,
that's
hey.
a pretty
Pixie,
good
how are you,
office.
buddy?
shout
Good
out
to see
Teddy
you, man.
Two Scoops, baby.
Yeah, buddy, this was a great chat, man.
Of
It's
course,
great to
man.
see you.
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
dude.
you too, guys.
Yeah,
You
this is
too.
great. Yeah, we'll let you go catch
Yeah,
up
of
with you
course.
guys.
Yeah, of course. Of
Theo
course.
Peckam with us on the show here at Hockey Helps the Homeless. I mean, that's just one of the great stories that pops up from an event like this. That was absolutely outstanding.